Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat, mga kababayan ko. Nandito na naman kami pasunod sa salita, accomplishments in government at kung anong ginagawa namin. And maybe in this forum to explain some, baseless accusations, misconceptions and all derailed to remove our focus on the fundamental need now sa bayanihan at yung implementasyon yan because of the COVID. We will discuss this because it is relevant to the answers that we will give to you. Pero una sa lahat, I'd like to introduce to you the workers of government who are here tonight, this morning. We have Director General Wilkins Villanueva of the PDEA, Deputy Director General Gregorio Pimentel, PDEA. And for the accomplishments of our government, we have Secretary Gregorio Nasan, who will report about his department. Then sa COVID-19 concerns, we have Secretary Duque, Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., and Secretary Anyo of the DILG. Sa video conference natin, participants, we have the Secretary Harry Roque, Director General Enrique Domingo of the FDA, Senator Carlo Alexi Nograles, the Cabinet Secretary, Chairman Benjamin Benhur Abalos of the MMDA, Secretary Salvador Panelo, Chief Presidential Legal Counsel. The other officials or workers were here, Secretary Medjaldia, Senator Bongo, Secretary Minardo Guevara of the Department of Justice, and Secretary Vivencio Dizon, the National Task Force COVID-19 Deputy Chief Implementer. Munahin ko na lang muna a few statements before Secretary Duque is that I'd like the people to know that we are studying the possibility of vaccinating the general adult population as early as October if there is a stable vaccine supply. Kung meron ng madagdag at kung kaya na ng ma-absorb ng gobyerno yung lahat ng tao na mapabakunahan, we will start with the basisino na, general public. Parang pumunta ka na doon at magpaturo ka kung hindi ka pa napaturo ng vaccine. Ang aming dito is always we have to keep equity in mind na dapat unahin na natin ang walang-wala at mga mahirap. Alam mo kasi yung mga iba in the far-flung areas also of the country outside of Metro Manila, there are a lot of Filipinos waiting to be vaccinated. And so doon sa kanila in the respective jurisdictions, I would suggest that unahin muna ninyo yung mga mahihirap. Those who cannot really afford to be traveling back and forth. As a matter of fact, it would be nice of government to go to their places. Total, alam naman natin yung blighted areas many of those ayaw o hindi o needs to be convinced that there is a vaccine available and that it is good for them. Ngayon dito sa itong Senate hearing, we do not question the authority and the power of the Senate to investigate in aid of legislation. Yan ang sinasabi nila. But alam mo kasi, nakita ko na pinapatawag ninyo almost so many persons and yet you are only able to put the resource person for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours at yung iba naghihintay na wala namang silbi. And yet the subpoenas are repeated every hearing at pinapatawag sila. And I think that most of the DOH officials in this morning's hearing were all there doing nothing. Alam mo, well, with due respect to the Senate this time, ilang beses ninyo pinapatawag yung mga cabinet members, especially Secretary Duque. And umabot na kayo from the purchase, the procurement, then down to itong Parmalin. Now you are branching out to COVID, not COVID, drugs issues. Mahirap yung ganun, panapatawag ninyo, pabalik-balik, tapos hindi naman ninyo na-utilize yung testimony. So, ganito ang proposal ko. I will require that the cabinet members invited to your hearings that he will clear the invitation with me. At kung tignan ko na pabalik-balik na lang with no other purpose except really to rumble on, to stretch the hearings because that is good for election until the election itself, okay man yan because you are entitled to your own strategy. Pero dito sa amin, because Secretary Duque has sometimes he has not been in control of the workings of DOH because spends most of his time nandyan sa inyo. This time, I will require every cabinet member to clear with me any invitation. And if I think that he will be called for walang silbi except to harass, to be berated in front of the Republic, ay hintuin ko na yan at pagbawalan ko na. Now, may option kayo. You can cite the person in contempt, pero ako na magsabi na ako ang may utos na hindi mag-attend. So, that is, well, I think I can do it as President. Clearly, if there is an abuse of authority there or exceeding the authority of the reasonable time that Congress conducts a hearing, I will limit you to what you can do with the executive department of the government. Dito sa executive department, I am the head, so I would say, kung gusto ko at nakita kong reasonable, go. Especially if it is really pursuant to the truth na hinahanap ninyo. Maganda yan. And I would suggest that you do it diretso-diretso. Sagasaan na ninyo yung sagasaan, yung parmalin, pwede na nyo watak-watakin yan. That you do what you want. Kasi kami dito tapos na. I use the Bayanihan 1. Isa Bayanihan 1, kayo ang nagbigay ng authority ng Executive Department even to disregard the procurement law. Kayo mismo ang nandyan sa... Tapos ngayon, sabi nyo, you can take whatever measures for the fastest delivery of the things that we need. So yun ang ginagawa namin. Tapos ngayon, you are dwelling on the procurement law and asking the officials to explain of their actuations. Basta ako ganito. We ordered, hindi ko man alam kung sino, basta sabi ko, dalian mo kay Secretary Duque. Sabi ko, dalian mo, you do away with the, I said, there is a law somewhere about an exemption sa procurement law. Yung makabili ka na, especially gayang negotiated contract, nandyan sa batas mismo yun ang ginamit namin. Ngayon, nag-order kami, delivered, inspected, if it was really the order, the things that we ordered according to specifications, and it was, then we paid. We did not sell out anything before delivery. Para sa akin, tapos na kami. Yung parmalin ninyo, pati droga, bahala kayo. Wala akong pakialam ng parmalin. Gutos, anong tawag dito? Sa kumot-kumot ng you can crumple parmalin. Wala kami pakialam dyan. Basta yung pag-abag namin, ang pakialam namin, nag-order kami, dumating, tama yung nag-order, tapos ang presyo was negotiated. Now, meron kaming ilabas na all of these things were done in accordance with law, even the pricing. Ngayon, for the meantime, I would just like also to remind Senator Gordon na I will campaign against you for being unfit to be a senator of this republic. You are trying, well, others are trying to be a Chinese when they are not, and ikaw naman, you are trying to be an American na hindi ka naman talaga totoong Amerikano. Every time that there is a committee hearing, you subpoena more than 100 resource persons and witnesses. And then more than half of that number comes from the government. Instead of working, they are stuck attending hearings that last for more than 5 hours. Tama ba yung ginagawa ninyo? I mean, are you crazy? Bakit ganun ka? Can you not approximate the time that you take to make these persons testify, question and answer? Lalo na ikaw, Gordon, abogado ka. Ano bang kakalain mo? Nandiyan na yung medisina, ginagamit na namin. Para sa akin, tapos na ang trabaho. Yung parmalin na yan o droga, then we will talk about it. Hintay lang kayo. Yan ang ano ko. It's a waste of time. And I am ordering si Secretary Duque that the next time that he is invited, he should clear the invitation to appear dito sa akin. And I will decide. nasabi na ni ni Secretary Duque yung kaya niyang, ano pa ba ang gusto nila, pati yung kaluluwa ninyo atakin. At pa isa pa. I am surprised that one of the resource person, ang tragedy is that you are listening to him. And I do not understand why the Senate is listening to witness of the person of Asierto. Asierto was dismissed by the Ombudsman twice. First, for his role in the obvious 100 million peso deal with Werfast. So this was later reversed. He was finally dismissed for his role in the importation and selling of more than 1,000 AK-47 to the MPA rebels. Ito ang masakit sa akin. Kaya ako rin galit talaga kay Desierto. Among others, dito ako napipika talaga. At paragi ko itong sinasabi na siya yung was one of those responsible for the importation. And ito napunta yung 1,000 doon sa NPA, anak ng. So ilang sundalo ko namatay diyan sa mga baril na yan. Ganoon na lang ang istorya natin. Yung kalukuhan mo, you are a fraud actually. Tsaka yung sa Davao na raid ng laboratory doon, namatay 6 na foreign nationals. You managed to produce documents na pinalabas mo na iyo yun. Hindi mo alam, nandoon ako buang. I was there. Well, I was called to go, so it was the fiscal who called me na there is something, you better come here. So, nagpunta ako doon. At hindi kita nakita. Inagaw mo sa mga tao ng PDEA ng Davao yung credit. Talagang yung nag-manufacture ka, you manufactured so many documents, falsified documents, and use it. You know, there is fabrication and there is such a thing as the use of false documents. Marapat ng grami ang pato mo, sigurado, pagbuhay ako, talagang hanapin kita. Kasi, sinira mo yung gusto mo siraan. Sinira mo yung bayan ko. You produce so many arms to kill my soldiers. Mainit talaga ako sa iyo. Totoo lang. Ano ba ito? Ano ka bang ano bang yung gusto mo talagang ito naman siyang Senate. Ito na yung totoo. If it is drugs, let it come from the mouth of the PDEA. Maybe I'd like to call si Wilkins, who used to be a police officer in Davao, then he transferred to PDEA. Now he is the Director General. Wilkins, can you go ahead and make huwag ka na ng mas para matibay ka naman eh. Ilang dekada mo na. And I'd like to tell you that Wilkins was a very good and outstanding police officer. Galing itong Davao, pero naglipat sa PDEA. Wilkins, you can begin.
Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, Senator Bongo and Executive Secretary Medialdia and other secretaries ngayong araw. I am here, Mr. President, to talk about initially the clandestine laboratory operation that we conducted sometime on December 31, 2004. Ito, Mr. President, ang unang-unang laboratory sa kasaysayan ng drug law enforcement na dismantle habang gumagalaw ang lahat ng makina. In short, Mr. President, ito lang yung laboratory na napasok natin habang actual na nagmamanufacture ang chemist.
In the act.
In the act of the manufacturing dangerous drugs. And actually, this clandestine laboratory operation, what became the case study in the United States sponsored International Law Enforcement Academy in Thailand. Itong clandestine laboratory na ito, sir, ang pinag-aaralan, pag ang subject is clandestine laboratory, itong Davao ito, sir. At I have been there when it was used as the case study of all law enforcement agencies throughout Southeast Asia.
You went to the United States?
United States, Mr. President, and Thailand sa International Law Enforcement Academy. So, permission to proceed, Mr. President.
You would.
The case study started sometime in 2002 when we came across with an information that a certain fugitive named Henry Tan. Henry Tan was escaped from PIDEA custody sometime in 2002. At nalaman namin that Henry Tan was covered by local personalities in Davao City, namely Joey Ko, Alex Ko, and Alan C. Alan C, if you can recall, Mr. President, is the operator of the Dumoy clandestine laboratory. So, in October 26, 2004.
Excuse me, Wilkins. Ibalik mo yung sa slide. Ganyan yung sana itong mga gagong to.
Henry Tan is at large. Alex Ko is at large. Joey Ko is dead. And Alan C is missing.
Okay. Sige, again, go ahead.
So sometime in October 26, 2004, tinawagan po kami ng United States Drug Enforcement Administration na may parating na dalawang foreign national sa Davao City para manufacture ng dangerous drugs, escorted by 2 Filipinos. And this video, ito sir yung actual video surveillance video ng operatives ng Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency during that time. During that time, Mr. President, panipideya lang po ito. Walang AIDSOT po nakasama dito.
Ito yung pagdating nila sa Davao.
Ito yung pagdating nila sa Davao. Ito sir yung dalawang foreign national. Yan sir. Tapos dalawang Filipino.
So, alam ng PDEA na may dumating na dalawang mga chemist.
Yes, sir. As early as October 26, 2004.
Okay,
so, wala pa kami case operation noon, Mr. President. Ang operation lang namin, case operation plan lang namin is Yun Chow King, which is Henry Tan. So, hindi namin alam kung anong itong grupong padating. So, what we did is sinalubong namin sa airport itong dalawang foreign nationals by PIDEA operatives. hanggang sa, Mr. President, ay umabot ito sa isang apartment somewhere in Obrero, a 7-door apartment, na itong lugar na ito, Mr. President, is the same lugar kung saan naandun yung mga sinusurveillance namin doon kay Henry Tan, doon sa Copland Chowking.
Okay.
So in short, we thought na, sandali, natrabaho na natin ito. Ibig sabihin, itong dalawang foreign national chemist, trabaho ng mga drug personalities na sinusurveillance natin for so long. So in short, dudugtong lang ito, sir. So alam na namin, sir, ngayon kung saan mag-uumpisa at kung saan namin sila susundan. So 24/7 ito, sir. If you can remember, Mr. President, 2004, 2002 hanggang 2004, ito yung time na nag-aaway ang PDEA at PNP. Nag-uungusan, sir, ang PDEA at PNP during that time. Because ayaw tanggapin ng PNP na PDEA is the lead agency. And during that time, Mr. President, yung mga nasa PDEA, panay pulis din. So yung capability ng PDEA during that time, talaga mahina. So what's happening is that na talagang nakaangat, sir, ang PNP. So former Colonel Asierto was my classmate in PMA. Dating class 88 yan, sir, eh. Naging, the turn back, naging class 89. So we talk. Ang sabi niya, Bok, merong personality kami dyan sa Davao. Before this, itong incident na sinalubong namin yung chemist. Sige, sir, sige, Bok, sabi ko, we collaborate. And let us show them na pwedeng magtulungan ang polis at PDEA. So ito, sir, yung unang talagang joint operation ng PDEA and police. So I informed him, Bok, meron dumating na incheck na dalawa sa Davao noong July 26, anong October 26. Immediately, sir, nagpadala siya ng tao. Members of SOU3. So yun yung nakasama ng mga tao natin, more than 35 na tao natin na pulis, at yung isang team niya, sir, sa SOU3 sa Davao. So nagtulungan, sir, kami. So later on, yung Copland Chowking naging Copland Case Operation Plan Crystal Gold. Ito na, sir, yung Copland for the laboratory. Dahil nakita na natin positive na merong dumating. So sinundan-sundan, sir, natin. Mr. President, ito yung mga drug personalities na naandun. Some of them are still at large. Henry Tan is still at large. Long Sheye or Johnson Chua is still at large. Alex Ko is still at large, and others. So yan, sir, kahit hagilapin mo sa lahat yan, sir, walang Michael Yang dyan, sir. Kahit sa case operation ng Crystal Gold and case operation of White Crystal ng HSOT, walang Michael Yang dun, sir. Because we know the personalities. Nag-collaborate na, sir, kami dalawa, eh. That is why I was really amazed and surprised bakit biglang nagkaroon siya ng kwento ang Dumoy Laboratory ng Michael Yang. So to continue, mahabang surveillance hanggang sa tuntun namin, sir, yung place ng laboratory sa Dumoy, Davao City, sa Turil, hanggang nakakuha kami ng different footages of what's inside the laboratory. Ito na yun, sir, that we came across sometime in December 3 of 2004. Yan ay mga lalagyan ng mga acetone and other essential chemicals. This is the water circulating multipurpose vacuum pump na ginagamit sa laboratory. Ito yung chest freezer. Ito, sir, nakapak pa to dahil hindi pa naumpisan, eh. At ito pang iba't ibang machines na nakakahon pa, sir, until noong December 29, on one of our surveillance operation, we came across with itong actual cooking Actually, prior to that, 3 days ago, sometime in December 26, nag-start na sir ng magbibili ng mga kaldero, ng mga sandok, si Alan C. So nasundan namin yun sir, at nakikita namin, nag-uumpisa na. Until nung December 29, ito na sir yung footage na nakita natin doon sa laboratory. This is Alex Kim, one of those personalities. Ito sir si Alex Kim and one of the foreign national na kasama ni Alex Kim. Ito sa mga namatay during that time. That was taken sometime on 5 o'clock in the morning of December 29. Immediately, we collaborated and decided mag-apply na tayo ng search warrant. Kitang-kita na to, Mr. President. And prior to this, nakita na rin natin na yung tao dito naglalatag na sir ng chloroephedrine, white substances sa sahig. And we believe, kala namin nagpapatuyo na sila sir ng shabu. But eventually, nung pinasok na namin sir, it was chloroephedrine. One of the final stages sa paggawa sir ng shabu. So we were able to come up with the search warrant, and on December 31, nagbigay ng order to search si Honorable Judge Renato Fuentes ng RTC Branch 9, 11th Judicial Region noong December 29. At nakapag-joint operation po kami in fairness naman sir kay Jojo Asierto na andun siya sir nung gabi during the time of the implementation of the search warrant. Pero PDEA led ito sir. Later on kasi sir, ang lumabas, one of the grievance nung mga taga Davao natin, local natin sa taga Davao, yung Davao group natin sir during that time is composed of PDEA na police, composed of PACER na police, and composed of those part ng Regional Intelligence Division ng Region PRO 11.
Wilkins, gusto ko malaman, anong opisina hinahawakan ni Asierto that you have to collaborate with him?
HSOT na sir.
HSOT.
Yes sir.
PNP yan.
Yes sir. HSOT na siya sir. Nawala. Nawala.
The PMS kindly fix the
So, we conducted a joint operation. And during that time, naandun pa sir si General Dizon. Magkakasama kayo doon sir na talagang inilayo namin kayo ng konti noon sir dahil delikado sir ang actual clandestine laboratory operation. Dahil may hydrogenator ito sir eh. May tangke ng hydrogen na pag binaril mo, pwede sumabog yung buong laboratory. And during that time, there was firefight during that time.
Then I would like also to explain my presence because I was called by Fiscal Sepulveda na gusto niya na local officials
witness,
doon.
Part of the Section 21 implementation, sir.
Yes.
So, gano'n na nangyari. Nag-joint operation, sir. Naandun ka, sir. Naandun ang kasama mo yung mga media. Naandun si General Simeon Dizon. At naandun yung operating units coming from RIID ng Region 11 na PNP, PDEA, PACER, and HSOT. Lahat dun, sir. Walang na-promote na taga Davao. Lahat ng HSOT, pati yung mga HSOT na hindi kasama dun sa operation na siya promoted using this operation. Kasi ito lang, sir, ang merong actual firefight eh.
It was hijacked from you.
Exactly, sir. So, sa akin, anyway, later on, sir, kasi PDEA na ako eh. So, I don't want to be promoted anymore. Anyway, director, sir, ang position ko eh. But, naaawa, sir, ako dun sa nag 24/7 na mga pulis natin For 3 months, from October up to December. Walang na-promote kahit isa, sir, sa kanila. Yun sir, ang ano lang, hinalakit lang namin ng taga Davao. While those people na kahit nasa opisina nila sa Krame, they were all promoted using this case operation. So ito sir yung Shabu Laboratory sa Davao City. You can just look at it. Fortified talaga sir. Including a guardhouse dito na punong-puno sir na CCTV camera. Napasok sir natin yan. Ang main player natin dyan is taga-PIDEA sir. And I was part of those who operated on that laboratory. So pinagpiestahan yan sir ng taga-Krame at taga-PIDEA. Ito sir yung nakita namin nung gabi na naglalatag sa sahig just to find out that it was chloroephedrine. One of the papunta na sa final ano yun sir, stage ng cooking. Ayan ka sir, kasama mo sir sila
Dison.
Secretary Reyes, General Aglipay, General Dison, General De Leon, at si General Abenido. So ito sir yung umaga na ng January 1. These are the part of the 76 kilos ready to be sold on the following day dapat. It is packed on a 5 kilo per plastic. Ito rin sir yung isa doon. While the rest of the methamphetamine was there for drying. Ito na sir yung naka double deck na sir yung dryer nila. And ang sabi sir ng chemist is high grade class A methamphetamine po ito, Mr. President. These documents were exploited that led us to the discovery of clandestine laboratory in Cagayan de Oro City 2 months after. So ito sir yung isa sa mga warehouses, ito naman sir yung sa Agdao, Davao City. And the other warehouse is in Obrero. Another warehouse in Obrero. All of those are chemicals, controlled precursors and essential chemicals, Mr. President. So, boxes of noodles ang nakalagay dun dito sa truck, pero ang nasa loob, sir, is hydrogenator. Ito, sir, yung pinakakailangan during that time sa paggawa ng shabu. Doon sa process na yun, sir. Yan yun, sir. Hydrogenator. So, during the surveillance, one of the surveillance operations, we came also with a place in Bunawan, owned still by Alan C. Ito, sir, yung Polytex Industrial Corporation. Ito yung gumagawa, sir, ng foam. At doon namin, sir, nakita yung scrubber, air scrubber. Itong air scrubber ang ginagamit sa malalaking laboratory para maitago ang amoy ng baho ng laboratory. And this was supposed to be deployed in Cagayan de Oro City. During that time, it was mababa pa sir yung kilo ng shabu sir during that time. And of all those instances, Mr. President, naandun ka. Sa lahat from the start up to the destruction of dangerous drugs and laboratory equipment. So, may mga personalities tayo. This is Johnson Chua, still at large as of now. This is Alan C. This is Joey Ko. Kapatid, may-ari yan ng direct merchandise sa Monteverde. This is Alex Ko. Kung makikita nito ng mga pulis, baka naandyan lang yan sa Binondo. Magtatago ito, sir. And this is Philip Lam. He was once a subject of manhunt by defunct PAOK TF for drug trafficking. So, ano ang allegation ni Police Senior Superintendent Asierto? Na si Michael Yang is involved sa clandestine laboratory ng Dumoy, Davao City. Yun, sir, yung ano niya according dun sa video message niya. Nothing in all those case operation plans that Michael Yang came up dun sa as part of the personalities dun sa both crystal gold ng PIDEA and white crystal ng PNP. Again, ito po yung personalities. Wala po kayong makikitang Michael Yang dyan. And according to the record check na inilabas ng Directorate for Intelligence ng Philippine National Police sometime March 28, 2019. According to them, Alan Lim, whose picture together with the President and Michael Yang was presented to media by dismissed police officer Eduardo Asierto, who was also dragged for involvement on illegal drug trade. However, he has no reported illegal drug activities based on record of the Directorate. Now, Police Superintendent Asierto is a graduate of PMA Class 89. Nag-apply po siya nung nag-start ang PIDEA, pero hindi po siya tinanggap ng leadership ng PIDEA because accordingly, meron daw po silang derogatory record. That's according to PIDEA leadership. And he was assigned, since hindi siya tinanggap sa PIDEA, he was assigned to head the Philippine PNP AIDSOT under sa SOU 3. He was implicated together with members of the defunct AIDSOT SOU 3 and Director Ismael Fajardo, who was during that time their investigator. Police Senior Inspector pa po si Fajardo noon. In Senate inquiry on the magnetic lifter incident sometime in 2008. So, Mr. President, ito po yung inilabas ng Rappler na picture niyong tatlo ni Alan Lim at ni Michael Yang. Ito po yung according to revelation ni Police Senior Superintendent Asierto. Mr. President, we came across with a document and picture of kung saan nahuli, sir, si Wen Li Chen. Wen Li Chen, mamaya, sir, papasok tayo doon, was ginawa ito, si Wen Li Chen is nirelate nila into Alan Lim. Ito, sir, ang picture ni Wen Li Chen during the time na inaresto siya sa Cavite. Dito pa lang, sir, titignan mo, ang labo na, sir, ng itsura. Ang liit ng ilong ni Wen Li Chen, ang laki ng ilong ni Alan Lim, eh.
Yeah, parang, ginalawa nila itong si Alan Lim.
Gumawa ng istorya, sir, na si Wen Li Chen is Alan Lim. But initially, hindi pa namin, sir, inano ito dahil baka ibang Wen Li Chen yung sinasabi. Ito na, sir. We came across with a document coming from SOU-3 Intelligence and Investigation Teams led by SP Police Inspector Lito Perote. Lito Perote is tao, sir, ni Asierto. Now, ito, sir, ang nilabas niya. Ito, sir, yung bail bond picture ni Wenli Chen. At ito yung picture ni Alan Lim. Tingnan nyo, sir, ang ginawa ni Lito Perote. Name, Wenli Chen, aka Alan Lim. So, pinag-combine niya, sir, si Wenli Chen at Alan Lim into a singular person. Now, analyze natin, sir. Kasi si Wenli Chen, nilagyan pa niya, leader ng drug trafficking syndicate si Wenli Chen. Pwede, sir. He was, the issuing court is Cavite RTC Branch 18. Dismissed for non-observance of Section 21. So, na-dismiss ito, sir. Ito yung picture niya during nung nakapag-bail siya, sir. Let's analyze, sir. Kasi pag hindi ka investigador, hindi mo makikita ito. Without a keen eye of an investigator, hindi mo, sir, makikita ang diferensya ng dalawa. But tinakil namin dito, sir, sa International Law Enforcement Academy. Pinagdikit ngayon natin siya, sir. Wenli Chen and Alan Lim. Tingnan natin, sir, yung ilong ni Wenli Chen at yung ilong ni Alan Lim. Ang laki ng diferensya, sir. Ito, sir, yung ilong niya nakataas. Ito, sir, kay Alan Lim, yung ilong niya nakababa. Yung ilong ni Alan Lim, malapad. Yung ilong ni Wenli Chen, makitid. Without looking at the different, may mga tinitingnan kasi sa tester tayo eh. Mata, tenga, ilong, bibig. Without looking at it, pwedeng lokohin, sir, kahit sino. Imagine, again, ulitin natin, sir. Imagine coming up with initial profile of drug personality at ipagkukumbine mo yung dalawang tao into a single personality. Mabigat yun, sir. Mabigat yun, sir. Dito pa lang, sir, makikita mo, may motibo na sila. May motibo na yung grupo ni Asierto dito. On what motive, we don't know. But, itong history kasi nitong mga grupo na to, sir, gagawa na ng kwento itong personality na hindi drug personality, tas kikidnapin.
Yeah, that was the work of Asierto. Let me hinto ko lang dyan sandali. Itong kay Michael Yang, tinignan ko yung intelligence, lahat ng intelligence input, puro galing kay Asierto lang. Kaya sabi ko, nagduda dito, kasi taga Davao to, 20 years na ito sa negosyo sa Davao. He's setting, mama na kasi, alam mo, mura kasi ang Chinese goods. Kasi, bakit ganito? So, sabi ko, siniset up. So, I started to, marami man akong kaibigang pulis rin, sinabi nila itong karakter ni Asierto. So, he was a kidnapper, and he had so many kidnappings in his record. Pero, pagkatapos ng bigay ng ransom, pinapatay nila. Kaya sabi ko, itong Lim na ito, sineset up nila. Kasi ang mga negosyo niya, yung bulto-bulto na container hanggang ngayon, today. Yun ang culprit din talaga in this story. Itong punto na ito, lahat dito, it's Asierto na siya yung ipoprogram niya isang tao na mayaman, tapos kung hindi magbigay, kikidnapin, tapos ransom na. Kaya maraming in-check noon na nawala. Kawawa ba yung pumunta dito to do business, tapos hindi na narinig.
So, Mr. President, I believe, ito sir, lumabas itong video niya. Actually, recycled na ito. Dati pa ito lumabas sometime 2018 eh. Itong video niya. This was after na nagtago na siya. Dahil, ang precursor nito sir is yung Senate Blue Ribbon investigation doon sa magnetic lifter na about 11 billion worth of dangerous drugs. So, he was recommended for lifestyle check, including Director Ismael Fajardo, who was during that time Deputy Director General for Administration ng PIDEA. So, ang mga, it is a 46-page Senate Committee report at lumalabas dito, sir, na out of the 14 senators, lumalabas, sir, na they tagged bagal. Naghang yung screen yan. According to the committee report, they tagged Asierto as the linchpin in all these events, who facilitated the entry of magnetic lifters that contained billion worth of shabu. So ito na sir, nagtago na siya dito after that. After that, naglabas na siya sir ng video. Nagpa-interview na siya, naglabas na siya sir ng video.
Gusto ko lang, kita mo naman ha, tingnan mo itong utak ni government of these persons. Ito si Fajardo, pati ito si Asierto. And yet now, because it's convenient for them, sabi mo nga yung disparate move nila, tinawag nilang to give credence to the theory now that started with the procurement of, they rumbled onto so many things, calling persons na criminal, alam nila, sila pa ang nag-recommend ng prosecution, ginagamit nila ngayon. Hindi ko maintindihan itong mga senador na to. But anyway, there will be a time for reckoning. But you know, I would like to just, I plead for fairness sa mga tao na tinatawag ninyo. Kasi pagka ganon ang style ninyo, lahat ng taga-gobyerno, sabihin ko, wag na kayo magpunta dyan sa Senate, then it would be a raucous thing. Ipa-aresto ninyo. At sabihin ko naman, wag ninyong arestuhin. Wag kayong maniwala sa Senate. Ay anong mangyari? Ako, nag-warning lang ako. Kasi, so kagaya nito, in a previous hearing, you recommended for the indictment of this criminal police officer. And now you are using them as a connection with the drugs, procurement of drugs. Ang ginamit pa ninyo, you are questioning, kayo ang nagbigay sa bayanihan, one, to disregard procurement law and come up with as fast as you can the things that are needed of the frontliners to protect them. Yan ang, if you have something to say, mayroon ka bang sabihin?
Yes, so, he was charged under RTC National Capital Region Branch 35 on April 11, 2019. And subsequently, an arrest warrant, alias order of arrest, was given released on August 14 of 2019. So, Senior Superintendent Asierto is a wanted person. He was recommended and indicted. So, I believe, can he be a credible person? On 2018, nung inilabas niya ito, Mr. President, wala namang pumansin dun sa statement niya. Walang pumansin sa video niya. It's only now na lumalabas ulit ito. Same lang, sir. Hindi naman natin sinagot during that time dahil wala naman pumapansin. So, Mr. President, let him who is without sin cast the first stone. According to Bible, John 8, chapter 8, verse 7.
Believe ako.
That's all, Mr. President.
Alam mo, there's only one thing I can say this. Ito si Asierto pati Fajardo, wala talagang credibility. Now, Gordo now is in a bind. Paano siya lalabas nito? Because I will say it publicly, Gordon has forever lost his credibility in cahoots with criminals and yung fabricated stories. You know, Senator, you're a lawyer, you pretend to be, wala man ako nakita, nag-trial ka, spent most of your time doon sa Subic, na hindi ka na pinansin ni Ramos, habol ka pa ng habol, kawala mo namang that's the kind of person you are. That's why he said, you deserve the company of Asierto and Fajardo, and I will leave you at that. I will, ito, malaman na ng buong Pilipinas. So, Wilkins, Colonel, nag-retire ka rin, Colonel?
General na sir ako ngayon. General na sir ako, director pa sir.
Both of you are generals already, si Greg. So, to find generals of the Republic of the Philippines. Believe ako sa inyo. So, to thank you for telling the truth, and you can stay if you want, because we will hear Senator Ronasan render a report. Basta patihag siya lang hanggang, kasi gabi naman, basta isang report lang. Pakinggan natin yung banon ninyo. Kapwa ninyo, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, may I have permission to take off the mask?
Yes, of course. I have tanggal ko rin ang ano.
Mr. President, before I proceed with my presentation, matapos po, with the permission of our colleagues, may I just raise a few issues?
Go ahead.
Without being answered, I don't
Go ahead.
want to, it does not merit a reply because this is an open hearing. I put this with your permission, Mr. President, at the doorstep of Sina Wilkins, no, Sina Greg. Habang nag-lecture kanina, nag-present kanina si Wilkins, kami ho rito, yung mga PMA, parang we felt very uncomfortable. Dahil PMA graduate itong bata natin eh. Pero just like any production line, siyempre may lalabas din dyan na factory defect. That's one issue. That's a reality. Kahit na sir yung mga pare, sa seminaryo, hindi man lahat nagiging pare. May lumalabas. By the way, sir, as a matter of information, tinanong ko dun sa mga ex-seminaryan, ano yung pinakamahirap sa vows na sundin, yung poverty, celibacy, and obedience. Akala ko, sir, yung celibacy. Hindi pala, sir, obedience. Because it goes against the sin of pride. Pag yung nag-uutos sa'yo, kumbinsido ka na mas bobo kaysa sa'yo, hirap na hirap yung kalooban mo na sumunod. So, obedience pala, sir.
True, it's true.
But going back, sir, to the issue of Mr. Acerto, I think, sir, it will serve the public interest if we are able to find out kung sino ang handler ni Acerto. Or if he is a free agent. Kung hindi natin, sir, may I address Wilkins? Kung hindi natin matumbok yung Wilkins, ang grabe na damage sa public interest is pag kinukonsente si Acerto. Yung sinabi ninyo, sir, na why are we giving him airtime in a public hearing? Ang mapansin niyo, sir, if you look at my own record when I was in another branch of government, hindi ako masyado nag-attend ng hearing eh. Unless ako ang chairman, no? Because as a rule, as a matter of personal rule, I am not really inclined to expose our strengths and weaknesses in a public hearing to temporary friends and foes. Parang binulat-lat natin kung saan tayo malakas at kung saan tayo mahina to our temporary friends and enemies. And I think this is the issue with Mr. Acerto. Pinakikita natin, forgive the vocabulary, kung gaano tayo kagago paminsan-minsan. Yan, sir, konsintihin natin sa Senado. I will not go into personalities because yung iba naman dito, sir, mga kaibigan naman natin. Ayun lang, panahon ng eleksyon, di kailangan mong pakita visibility and audibility. We don't fault them for that. But at the expense of national security and public interest, parang kami, sir, ng mga dating sundalo dito, parang, ano, sir, nagpapatayan tayo only to end up like this. One guy, factory defect, will destroy the security of this country. And China will not look too kindly on us. Yari na naman tayo, sir. Sayang, sir, sayang lang. Dahil, when you are in term, pag patapos na, sir, kayo ng term ninyo, ang pinag-uusapan namin palagi is what will happen after your tour of duty. What will happen to continuity, to sustainability, to policy predictability. Yun lang naman, sir, gusto kong ilabas dahil bihira naman tayo, sir, magkita-kita.
Yes, sir.
So,
I understand. Thank you,
after
sir.
Wilkins' presentation, sir, baka antukin lang kayo din sa presentation.
Yes.
May I proceed, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, mga kapwa, ang instruction sa amin, sir, is to talk in plain language. So, I will comply. Mr. President, mga kapwa lingkod bayan, mga kababayan na nakatutok ngayong araw, magandang araw sa inyo. This is our first slide. Connectivity po ang issue dito sa inyong Department of Information and Communications Technology, which is a technical support department and which has some regulatory functions. Ito pong connectivity, yung access to data and information, is now classified as a right. Parang concert, food, clothing, shelter, education, health services, and then access to data, information. Yun, sir, ang connectivity. Ngayon, sir, nung i-assign ninyo kami 2.5 years ago, napakaliwanag, sir. Hindi naman nyo, sir, ako in-assign dahil techie ako. Ang telepono ko, sir, magulat kayo, analog pa eh. Pero hindi ko masyadong pinagsasabi, sir, baka mapilitan kayong tanggalin ako sa pwesto, mag-resign ako. Sabi nyo, sir, connectivity, ang mission ng DICT under your watch. Connect our government to other governments, domestic and global. Government to business para yung balancing natin, sir. The health issues, the economic issues, the political and social issues, and the security issues. So connect government to other governments, domestic and global, whatever it takes. Cellphone, internet, laptop, computer. Yun sir ang technical aspects nito. Connect your government to business para may economic activity. Connect government to the citizens and everybody to each other. Tapos sir, hindi pa kayo na kontento doon. Sabi nyo, you do this faster. Efficient, mabilis sir ang signal. Magbayad ka man. Cheaper if not free. Kaya sir, may free wifi tayo ho. And in a more secure manner. Yung hawak sir ni Cesar Mangkaw, the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center. We have a good team there, sir. Ngayon po, gusto namin, sir, with your permission, our colleagues, ibahagi ang mga programa ng inyong DICT para makamit itong connectivity at yung digital transformation ng bansa. Slide 2, please. Ang pagpapataas ng internet speed ay isa sa mga kasama dito sa connectivity. Alinsunod sa panawagan ng ating Pangulo sa industriya ng telecommunications na pagandahin ang serbisyo nito para papunta na tayo sa new normal dahil may pandemic tayo. Slide 3, please. Mr. President, mga kasama, so nagtaguyod tayo ng mga reforma para mas bumuti ang serbisyo at isa rito yung pagpasok ng DICT Department Circular number 008, Series of 2020, na nagpapahintulot sa mga telco na mag-collocate. Dati-dati kasi, sir, mga kasama, bawat telco may kanya-kanyang tower. Isang tore, isang telco. Sabi nyo, sir, gawing mabilis, no? Gawing mura kung hindi libre. So naglagay ho tayo ng common tower policy. Isang tore, magsama-sama yung lahat ng telco dyan, bahala na kayo mag-usap, pero huwag niyong singilin yung subscriber na mahirap lang ang buhay, singilin pa ninyo, wala pang signal. Yung sir, pag nag-interview sa 6 o'clock news, kumusta yung internet service? Yun nga, nagbabayad ako pero walang signal. Ito sir, yung work from home. Yung study from home. Ma'am, sir, nagbabayad kami, hindi pa rin ako makapag-aral, walang signal. Pero nagbabayad kami. Isang reason yan, sir, is kanya-kanyang tore. 15 million, sir, ang pagpatayo ng isang tore. So, saan mo kunin, bawiin yung 15 million mo? Singilin mo yung subscriber. So, sabi namin, sir, lahat ng telco, magsama-sama sa isang tore, bala na kayo mag-offset, magsingilan. Pero, wag nyo, utos ni Presidente, wag nyo singilin yung subscriber. So, sumusunod na sila, sir. Magbuhat nung sabihin ninyo na pag hindi sila sumunod, bitayin nyo sa tower. Di, sir, sunod sila. Naglabas din, sir, ang DICT, kasama yung ibang ahensya ng Joint Memorandum Circular number 1, Series of 2020, para mapabilis ang proseso ng pagtayo ng tore, sir. Dati, sir, sa kasalukuyan, sir, 16 days na lang. Nagsimula tayo, sir, nung ilagay nyo kami rito to manage the whole thing, 214 days, sir. Ang kailangan, bago mo makuha yung permit para magtayo ka ng tower, from 214 days, 16 days na. Noong 2019, sir, pumasok ang dito telecommunity bilang pangatlong major telco. Pareho, sir, ang objective nila, magbigay ng mabilis na internet sa mas mababang halaga. Pagpasok nila sa industriya, sabi nyo, sir, dagdagan, more competition, more players, the net effect is more efficient service, mumura, pabagsakan na sila ng presyo. So, sir, yung Globe at Smart nag-react. So, nag-roll out na sila para pagbutihin yung serbisyo. Nagko-cooperate na, sir. Dati kasi, sir, ang pakikialam lang ng gobyerno, pagbibigay ng frequency. Ang ginawa, sir, ng mga telco, hindi naman nila kasalanan dahil yun lang ang mandato ng National Telecommunications Commission, magbigay ng frequency. Ang ginawa, sir, ng mga telco, dalawa man yan nung una, sir, ginamit, sir, yung iba. Binenta yung iba. Tinago yung iba. Pagpasok natin, sir, sabi namin, yung hindi ginagamit, ibalik. Yung binenta, sabi nyo kung kanino nyo binenta, dahil bawal yan eh. The frequencies are state property. Bawal ibenta yan. so that we can redistribute the frequencies to the other players. Mas maraming player, i-distribute natin yung frequencies, rationalized. May spectrum management policy tayo ngayon na equitable ang distribution. By the way, sir, akala natin 3 lang yan telco. 40 yan, sir. Dalawa man, sir, ang Dennis Oy. Dennis Oy ng dito at Dennis Oy ng Converge. Maliit-liit, sir, yung Converge. Pero siya ngayon, sir, ang nag-iipon ng maliliit para lumaki sila at patas ang laban. Yun, sir, ang...
Is this the oy ng Pampanga?
Opo, sir. Opo. Converge, mga kasama. Ito si Dennis Oy ng Converge. Mabilis, sir, ito, Ang backer nito, Amerikano rin. Pero fiber naman sila, sir. Nasa Visayas na sila at nasa Mindanao. Ang ginawa namin, sir, dahil wala tayong pera, sabi namin, isa lang ang request namin sa inyo. Sabi sa aming presidente, ibigay nyo sa amin yung mapa ninyo kung nasa na kayo. Nasa na kayo? Nasa Visayas, Mindanao, nasa middle mile o last mile, para alam namin kung saan kami kakabit. Para hindi na kami magastos. Hindi na natin ulitin yung ginawa na ninyo. Okay naman, sir. Mapayag naman. Okay. So, yung Globe at Smart, sir, nag-roll out na. Slide 4, please. Sir, nilagay din natin yung Telecom Tower Watch upang mabantayan ang pagsunod sa mga bagong regulasyon natin para sa pagtayo ng mga tore. Ito, dagdag ito sa transparency, but I'll cut through it, sir, para we'll save time. Slide 5, please. Ayon, sir, sa datos mula sa National Telecommunications Commission or NTC, noong July 2021, as of July, nakapaglatag na tayo, sir, ng 980,000 kilometers ng fiber. Globe, Smart at dito. Yung tatlo pa lang yun, sir. Hindi pa natin binibilang yung maliliit na nagko-combine na ngayon. Meron na rin tayong 25,313 na mga tore. By the way, sir, ang tore ngayon, hindi na, sir, yung parang pag pinakita ang picture ng tower, sir, parang yung tore ng kuryente na nakikita natin sa mga picture. Mababa na ng konti ngayon, sir. Mga 20 feet ang height. Kaya, sir, ang 400 km per hour na hangin. Pag gusto mong i-disassemble at i-assemble ulit sa ibang lugar, it will take you 2 weeks. Mabilis, sir. Nagko-combine na. Sa Valenzuela, sir, pinuntahan na natin yung una. Ang gumagawa nito, sir, sa ngayon, yung common tower na, magsama-sama na, yung dito, yung third telco natin. It's only a matter of time before they start using the same platform, no? All the telecommunications company. Mayroon na rin tayo, sir, 25,313 na tower. Ngayon, sir, kumpara sa 16,051 noong December 2017. Ang Dito Telecom, yung pinakabago, sir, ay nakapagtayo na since we gave them Congress gave them the franchise. 3,000 na tower, sir, ang tinayo nila. Dahil binigyan na sila, sir, ng tinatawag na CPCN, Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity. Ang ibig sabihin, sir, is kailangan talaga. So may annual growth rate na rin tayo, 43.54% para sa fiber cable build-up. Pero lahat ito, sir, puro technical na. So I'll try to abbreviate it, sir. Dahil sa patuloy na pagdami ng mga tore at fiber, bumili, sir, na ang internet speed. Yes, sir, parang si Wilkins, sir, no? Sa mga bata natin sa PDEA. Paano ko alam ito? Paano, sir, tinesting ko ito personally? Punta ko sa iba-ibang lugar, para testingin. Of course, sir, pag matsambahan, yung nagbabayad, hindi walang serbisyo, we have to accept that as reality. Pero kung pag-uusapan, sir, efficiency, yung sinabi nyo, faster, cheaper, if not free, wala tayo doon, sir, sa bottom, wala pa tayo doon sa itaas. But we are getting there. Bandang gitna na tayo, sir. Slide 6, please. Sir, noong August 2021, 800% na ang increase natin sa average speed nung hindi gumagalaw, sir, na internet. 300%. Ang bilis, sir, 300%. Sa average speed nung mobile, yung gumagalaw, sir. Ayon sa datos ng isang international na nagre-rate sa telecommunication services. That's global, sir, no? So this is unassailable. Hindi ito para paboran tayo, para ipakita lang, sir, na under your watch, we made some improvements. Hindi naman tayo zero, sir. Mahirap, sir, gawin ito, but, alam mo, sir, pag tama yung ginawa natin, wala, tamime, pero pag magkamali ka ng konti, perahin ka talaga ng gusto. But that's life naman, sir. I think I'm not the one to tell you about this. Sir. Slide 6, please. Ang average, sir, na fixed broadband download speed ngayon ay 72.56 megabits per second. Technical na naman ito, sir. Mahirap ipaliwanag sa mga kababayan natin. Ito, sir, itong speed na ito, para just for comparison, itong 72.56 megabits per second, nagsimula tayo, sir, sa 7.91 megabits per second noong 2016. Ngayon, sir, 76.56. Internet download speed naman, nitong August, umabot na, sir, sa 33.77. I'm just giving numbers, sir, para malaman natin saan tayo nagsimula. So, nasa 33.77 na tayo ngayon, nagsimula tayo, sir, sa 7.44 noong July 2016. So, we are complying, sir, with your marching orders. Yan, hindi yan, sir, madilay. Slide 7, please. Nakatuon ang DICT sa pagbuo ng mga infrastructures, no? Pinaigting ng DICT ang National Broadband Program para makabuo ng isang broadband network para sa dekalidad at abot-kayang internet. Hindi na natin hintayin yung mga telco na maglatag ng mga fiber. Tayo na, sir, ang gumagawa nito. Of course, sir, hindi kami nagreklamo sa budget. That emanates from Congress, no? Example, sir, budget hearing the other day sa House. I mean, this is a common experience from your line departments. Humingi kami ng 34 billion. Balak nila bigyan kami ng 9 billion. Kulang, sir, yun sa isang region. Pero, sanay naman tayo, sir, sa wala. Ito, buti nga, sir, meron pa. But I will explain that later, sir. Isa sa mga proyekto na napapaloob sa National Broadband Program ay yung Government Network Project. Dito, sir, sa GovNet, which is to streamline government operations through connectivity, digitizing, 892 na, sir, na ahensya ang kasama dito. Konektado na sa pamagitan ng fiber optic cable. At layunin namin, sir, na ikonekta ang dagdag na 200 na ahensya bago matapos ang 2021. Noong December 2020, ang DICT ay nakapag-ugnayan sa basis conversion. Katabi ko, sir, si Vince o BCDA para sa National Fiber Backbone Phase 1. Ito ay panimula ng pagbibigay ng mas mabilis na internet sa mga lugar sa Luzon. Yun, sir, ito yung maglanding sa Baler, tatawid, papunta dun sa Poro Point. Itong pagtawid, sir, kabit-kabit na tayo. I remember, sir, a few months ago, you called us because of Facebook. Sabi namin, sir, wag na kayo magalit to, negosyo lang yan. Negosyo lang yan, sir, walang politika dyan. Pero pagpasok nila sa teritoryo natin, singilin natin sila. Ano libre? Kami, bawat galaw namin, singil kayo. Pasok kayo sa teritoryo namin. Huwag niyong politikohin itong broadband. Ang problema yan. So, landing kayo sa Baler, tawid kayo up to Poro Point. Pagtawid, sir, di ba? Baler, Amerikano. Galing, sir, sa West Coast nila. Pagtawid, naghihintay naman dun sa kabila yung Japan at yung China. Huwag na natin politikahin. Basta i-connect natin. Kita naman kayo dyan, eh. Alam ninyo yan. Huwag tayo maglukuhan. Nakipag-ugnayan kami, sir, sa BCDA para sa National Fiber Backbone Phase. Mas mabilis sa Luzon, sir. Ang DICT ay maglalatag ng resiliency route bilang pangalawang linya ng internet connection na mag-ugnay sa metro cities tulad ng Metro Manila, Luzon, sir, Metro Cebu, at Metro Davao. My dear, sir, Metro Davao, we're not doing this for anybody's benefit. Akalain nila, bakit? Davao na naman. birada na naman, sir. Hindi, sir. That's where we will connect. It is a product of a serious mapping effort. Kung saan yung sentro, makakabit tayo, doon tayo magkabit. Huwag mo na intindihin yung pangalan. Kahit saan yan. Basta't may Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao tayo. Doon na tayo, sir, magkabit-kabit. Ang resiliency route na ito ay magpapadaloy ng 10 gigabits. Again, sir, it's technical. Per second sa internet speed. Mabilis na ito, sir, by international standards. Ilulunsad natin ito ngayong September, sir. Kung saan ang internet na makukuha natin sa ibang bansa ay nagkakahalaga ng 9 cents, sir. 9 cents. US cents. Bawat Mbps. Mura yan, sir. Competitive internationally. Slide 8, please. Ngayong pandemya, sir, mas mahalaga ang mabilis na internet connection. Mas lalong pinag-ibayo ng DICT ang pamamahagi ng internet sa pamagitan ng free Wi-Fi program, lalo na sa mga quarantine facilities at bakuna sites. Actually, sir, what we are managing, and we have discussed this under the stewardship of Chairman Duque in the IATF, ang minamanage talaga natin dito sa pandemya is one critical variable, time. Habang mas mabilis, sir, yung COVID sa atin, di habol tayo ng habol. Kailangan mas mabilis tayo, sir, sa COVID para makaresponde. Sir, walang expert dito sa COVID. This is all about crisis management at individual, family, community, domestic, and global level. Every day, sir, na nag-meet yung inyong task force, we continue to rebalance the economic and health variables, the political and social variables, and the security variables, sir. Sir, every day yan, nagre-rebalance para walang magutom. Dahil ang fear namin, sir, is, sir, papunta rito ang daanan mo siguro mga 10 traffic light. Makita mo, sir, yung namamalimos. Assuming kalahati niyan sindikato, pero yung iba talaga, sir, dyan, sir, mga tricycle driver at jeepney driver na nawalan ng trabaho. Pag kumapit ito sa patalim, sir, at nag-decide para huwag magutom yung pamilya na pasukin yung mga bahay ng mga mayayaman, patay tayo dyan, sir. In other words, there is no more difference between living and dying. Ang choice mo lang is, you either die fast or die slow. So you take the risk na. Including, sir, the drug problem. Pag kumakalam na yung sikmura mo, di hanap ka ng remedyo. That's the impact of this, sir. That's why your task force, I'm not saying this for Chairman Duque's benefit. I have never seen, sir, alam mo, sir, sa edad natin, we have seen other teams in other administrations. I've never seen a more cohesive team as I have been witness to. Ang free Wi-Fi for all program ng DICT ay nakakamit ng 500% increase sa rollout rate ngayong 2020. Mula sa nakaraang 800 average na mga nakabit na site, mula 2016 at 2019, ang DICT ngayon, sir, ay nakapagtayo na ng 4,305 na sites ngayong 2020. Ito, sir, free Wi-Fi. 4,305 na tayo, sir, na free Wi-Fi. So pag nasa ospital ka, sir, may sakit ka, yung pamilya mo nasa Mindanao, makita ka na nila kung paano ka tinatrato ng mga nurse at doktor. So di, kampante ka na. Mayroon na rin tayo ngayong 10,996 na free Wi-Fi sites na nakakabit sa buong bansa. That's our tally as of now, sir. Ito, sir, nagiging issue pa minsan-minsan. Slide number 9, please. Yung budget utilization. Sabi, sir, ng Congress, bakit namin kayo bigyan ng pera? Hindi naman ninyo naubos. Ito naman, sir, ang record natin. Pag procurement, and we are all familiar with that, we front-load it. Ang procurement natin for the coming year. So, sumisipa tayo, sir, towards the last quarter. But we are able to utilize our budget. Let me describe this to you very briefly, sir. Ang inyong DICT po ay patuloy na pinapatupad ang aming mga programa upang patuloy na mailunsad ang digital transformation. Sir, technical na ito. Let me go to slide number 10. Pinalakas din ng DICT ang pagpapatupad ng mga pagpapaunlad ng kakayahan ng mga Pilipino. Nais naming mapalawak ang kaalaman ng ating mamayan sa larangan ng ICT. Slide number 11, please. Noong 2020, inilunsad natin ang Digital Cities 2025 na nilalayong suportahan ang mga lokalidad at palakasin ang kanilang potential sa BPO industry. Noong June 2021, nakumpleto at inilunsad namin ang siyam na Digital Cities Roadmaps. December 2020, nakapagtala ang BPO industry ng total, ito sir, might be important, 1.32 million na full-time employees. BPO sir, because of our connectivity efforts in collaboration, convergence ito sir, private-public partnership. 1.32 million na full-time employees. Noong 2020, nakapagbigay ng mahigit na 26.7 billion US dollars. This can be validated, sir, by Secretary Sani. O nagkakahalagang 1.33 trillion pesos ang industriya ng BPO. Hindi ito, sir, maliit na mas. Slide 12, please. Ang Technology for Education, Employment, Entrepreneurs, and Economic Development or Tech for Ed ng DICT ay naglalayong magbigay ng e-learning materials para sa ating mga marginalized sectors. Ngayon, meron tayong 4,745 Tech for Ed centers na itayo. Tayo rin po ay nakapagbigay ng mahigit 340 na Tech for Ed webinars, parang seminar ito, sir, na dinaluhan ng 128,408 na katao. Slide 13, please. Huwag ko kayong mag-alala, sir, malapit na matapos ito. Sa taong 2020, ang DICT ay nakapagsanay ng 183,699 katao sa pamagitan ng ICT training. First quarter 2021, nakapagsagawa ng 151 capacity building activities na dinaluhan ng 36,377 na mga kalahok. Slide 14, please. Ang DICT ay nakipagtulungan sa UP, Technology Management Center, sa Government Chief Information Program. Layunin ng programang ito na mabigyan ng karapatang edukasyon ang ating mga kawani ng gobyerno upang makipagsabayan sa digital world. Ang DICT ay nagtatag din ng Center for Global ICT Training, Certification and Recognition para magbigay ng pagsasanay at mga certificates sa industriya ng ICT. Kasama ang programa ng GCIO, ang mga hakbangin na ito ay magiging bahagi ng ICT Academy. Ang ginagawa namin, sir, very briefly is, kumuha kami ng mga bata, qualified, sa iba-ibang ahensya, tinetrain namin, sir. Sir, ang puhunan lang namin whiteboard at saka yung whiteboard marker. 100% na ang passing rate natin. Pagbalik nila sa kanilang ahensya, they can begin training their own people para ang appreciation ng government for ICT-driven connectivity becomes higher. They are the future. 100% sir ang passing rate po natin and eventually we will upgrade our appreciation dahil napansin namin sir, alam mo sir, ang gusto ng tao and we believe also in our build infrastructure development program. Gusto na sir mahawakan na tulay, kalsada. Itong ICT sir, hindi mo ito mahawakan. Maliban lang kung wala kang signal at nagbabayad ka, doon ka magreklamo. But normally, sir, it's quite. We have to raise the level of awareness of government as a sector for ICT-driven connectivity. This is not a complaint, sir. I'm just sharing this data para we can enhance our convergence efforts. Slide 15, please. Ang DICT ay naglunsad. Ito, sir, yung vaccination certificate. Self-service portal, digital vaccination certificate. Kaya sir nahuli ng konti at tinuro yung DICT. Actually sir, sinisiguro natin na yung datos na ibigay ng local government accurate. Biruin mo sir kung gawin mong 23 years old, yung katulad ko na 73 years old. Di, sir, hindi mo bakunahan yun. Patay sir ako. This is life and death, sir. Pag mali yung datas mo. So we took our time because aside from that power being reposed initially sa Bureau of Quarantine na in charge ng polio, smallpox. Ang sagot lang, sir, ng DICT natin, yung sa COVID-19. Nag-launch na tayo, sir. At encouraging, sir, ang report. We reported this to Chairman Duque already and our colleagues in the IATF. Sir, contrary to perception, again, this is some degree of irresponsible reporting, no? Based on incomplete, inaccurate info. Isa, sir, tayo sa pinakaunang bansa na nagpatupad ng vaccination certificate. Yung Japan, sir, at New Zealand, pinaplano pa lang nila. Japan na, sir, at New Zealand. Di ba, sir, sa media, inggit na inggit tayo. Nauna tayo, sir. Sa kanila, sir, pinag-aaralan nila, they plan to implement it by December. Ang Vac Certificate Portal ay bahagi ng Vaccine Information Management System or VIMS at sangayon sa Republic Act 11525 na nagsisilbing National Immunization Registry. But I'll cut through this also, sir. Tinutulungan ng DICT at ng task force yung mga LGUs na mapadali ang pagsasagawa ng kanilang vaccination activities para maisumite yung tamang datos dun sa system natin. Slide 16, please. Ang inyong DICT ay bumuri ng mga web-based portals. Binawasan ito ang mga araw para maproseso ang mga permit. Ito ay alinsunod naman sa Republic Act 11032 or Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act. Kapartner namin dito, sir, sina Maya Belhica at si Secretary Mon Lopez. Ating pinatupad ang Integrated Business Processing and Licensing System kung saan mahigit na 600 na LGU na. But again, sir, this is procedural. Slide 17, please. Nagsagawa rin ang DICT, ang inyong DICT ng cyber awareness campaigns para magbigay ng practical na payo upang mapanatiling ligtas ang mga individual sa mga online platform at panatiling ligtas ang pribadong data online. Naglabas din po tayo ng Department Circular number 15, Series of 2020 o ang Child Online Safeguarding Policy or COSP. Layunin ng COSP ang protektahan ng ating kabataan. You have said this time and again, sir, do not harm or kill our children. Or we'll have to do what we need to you. Na pinsalang maaaring idulot ng internet. Slide 18, please. Ang Government Emergency Communication System or GECS project ng DICT ay nagtalaga ng mga mobile operations vehicle for emergency or MOVE upang mapabilis ang emergency communications sa panahon ng mga sakuna at kalamidad. Nagsimula ito, sir, nung magpunta kayo sa Batanes more than a year ago under normal conditions. Ang utos ninyo sa DICT, put up an emergency communication system that is not dependent on the telcos. Ito, sir, yung resulta. But because of our contracted fiscal space, imbis na, sir, DC6, yung meron, sir, parang van na malaki na may conference room sa loob, tapos merong SUV at merong motor. Pero yun, sir, matagal na ho yun. Years ago. Ngayon, sir, yung lahat ng equipment doon sa malaki, na maraming antena, at yung SUV, kasya na, sir, sa isang kahon sa likod ng motor. So, mas mura ang motor, mas marami tayong mabili, mas makadeploy tayo, sir, more effectively. That is our projection, sir, for the next budget. Sir, in closing, slide number 19, please. Mr. President, sa 2.5 taon mula nung inatasan nyo kami na mamuno sa DICT, malayo na naman. In fairness, ang narating sa pagtugon sa direktiba ninyo na palawakin ang connectivity sa bansa. At this point, sir, we want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you to serve the highest public interest, whatever the cost. We will not forget this, sir. History will judge us, and I am sure my children and grandchildren will remember your administration. Not because we're advertisers, sir. Batid namin na marami pa tayong kailangan gawin, lalo na sa gitna ng mga hamon ng dala ng new normal. Pero ang projection, sir, sa task force, as Chairman Duque said, is baka abutin pa tayo ng 3rd and 4th quarter next year. Higurado, sir, hagip yung eleksyon. Baka sir, umabot pa ito ng 2023. Patuloy natin gagawin, sir. Patuloy namin gagawin. Ang lahat ng ating makakaya hanggang sa ang lahat ng ating mamamayan, saan man sila sa bansa ay konektado at may access sa internet. So sa programa natin, we are not going to be voter density driven. We will go for the farthest, the smallest, the poorest. Ang analogy dyan, sir, parang release ng tren. Wala man tren, sir, na kumita by itself. Pag nagkabit ka ng release ng tren hanggang dun sa pinakamalayo, pinakamalit at pinakamahirap, the railroad will not earn by itself. It's the economic activity on both sides of the tracks that will generate serious development. So pag na-connect natin yung pinakamaliit, pinakamahirap na estudyante o manggagawa from Batanes to Hulo, to Tawi-Tawi, that is serious development which started seriously without patting ourselves on the back during your watch. Ang lahat ng mga pagsisikap nito, again sir, I will paraphrase you, ay para sa ating pinakamahalaga, our most precious, strategic, and renewable resource. Our next generation of citizens and leaders, our children. Thank you, sir, for listening.
It was a very refreshing educational tour of DICT. I would like to commend you for the improvements, the little improvements that we have introduced into this country. We might not be able to deliver all, but at least we made a difference, or as of now, there is a difference between yesterday and today. So thank you for that sacrifice. Thank you for the toil, the tireless toil of governance. And we hope that you will succeed now and in the future. Salamat, Craig. Now, it's we are forced to call it a day. We know that tomorrow is another working day, and people have to report also. I know that you have your own problems. Much as I would like to call all of you to make the report, I cannot because there is lack of material time. We might call the next meeting in Wednesday. We'll have another, then we can program again who the speakers would be. I'd like to thank our resource persons, Wilkins and Greg, Odipedia. You are doing well. Protect the country, protect our children, and everybody is thankful for what you are doing. To the rest of the cabinet members, I know that you're working hard, from Sir Galvez to everybody. Next time we will have a longer meeting, and I would like to thank you for your presence tonight. Maraming salamat po.